Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hey, y'all. Hey. Oh my God. Like, I am literally so super elated to be here today. I am coming to you live from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I was here today for a meet and eat. It was meet up, eat up, had a phenomenal time being here all day long. And so got a chance today to speak about sugar, which is what we're going to talk about now is sugar. And so I'm excited about being here. I'm literally in nature. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's been such a wonderful day. Trying to get my lighting right. And we've had such an amazing day. So, yeah, so I literally am outdoors, hoping that internet stays connected, hoping that computer stays up, and that we get through this one because this is the end of the month, y'all. We've been going strong all August, where we've been really looking at kids and caregivers and how we can reclaim our health, how we can do something different and better for our bodies. And so, we talking about this sugar thing, right? So sugar has built empires, it has built economies, but guess what? It also broke bodies. And 400 years later, sugar is still chaining our health in ways most of us don't even see. So again, this is the Karnivor'ISH Konversations, the show where truth, taste, and transformation turn up. This is a sacred space where you can be informed, satiated, and healing. Think about it like this. When you get informed and you get the right information, then you're going to know that your body needs to be satiated. What does that mean? Once you get satiated, the healing can start. I know many times we think this is about weight loss. This is about losing weight, but it's really so much deeper than that. On a cellular level, we are not well. So like everything else, it starts with a conversation. So I am blessed today to be able to have a conversation with a wonderful, amazing person that I just admire so much. So this month we've been diving deep into this resetting, this rhythm, this reclaiming, because this is the fall season. Kids are back in school. They're getting over the summer drag. And this is our opportunity to equip kids, equip these caregivers with some truth, right? So the bottom line is this, is if we don't reclaim our health, we cannot pass on anything positive to our kids, right? A lot of times we believe that the ailments that we have were passed down from our family members. What was really passed down to us was the same diet, eating the same way. It literally is not in our genes, y'all. So today, as we end August strong with a woman who is rewriting the narrative on sugar. Yes, she's a nurse. She's an author. She is a leader who has dug into this valid history of sugar in Black and brown communities. I mean, she has gone deep. And she's come back with not just with these facts, but freedom, right? This whole just shaking these chains off, right? She's been called a quiet force is what I call her because she's so mild, so calm. Like you wouldn't believe that she is a powerhouse in this movement. She's the founder of Sugar Mode Off, like literally, let's turn the sugar off. And she's also the author of Breaking the Bounds of Sugar. We're still talking about this bondage, y'all. And the woman who proves that awareness, history, and conviction can heal communities. I want to welcome to the stage Shun Foreman, registered nurse in the house. Yes.
Hey,
Shun,
look,
thank you
hey
so much
again.
for being. Yes, girl, I appreciate you joining. I know I'm wild and crazy today, but I was not going to miss August 30th with you. So thank
Wow.
you for availing yourself to be here with us. Yes, yes. So share a
Well,
little bit about you, how you came to this space, and then we're gonna just dive into it. Like I told you, it
okay.
is just me and you, like always, just
Yeah,
sitting back, chilling, and talking about this thing that now the world gets to be an audience in our conversation.
yeah. Well, first of all, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and
Okay,
yes,
good
clear and
deal.
loud.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much. First of all, I just have to say I'm so honored to be on your show. I mean, we have now known each other for what? How long has it been now?
It's
What, 3 years?
going into three
What?
years. It is going into
Yeah.
3 years.
So, and it's been crazy because we kind of met on social media, but then we finally got a chance to meet in person. So it's always an honor to meet people face to face and really get to see who they are and what they are and if they're real and you're real. So I appreciate you for
That's
that and for inviting me to your show. So who am I? Is that what you want to know? Like, is that where we start?
absolutely. Let's just start right there. Like you lay it down. Like I'm gonna talk about you through the whole show, right? I got so many
Yeah,
nuggets, right? So much power, so much boldness. But I just want to hear from you, like where you are,
yeah, yeah.
where this all begins. I mean, 26 years of nursing, right? I just met a
Mm,
nurse here at this event. She's like, I've been in it for 36 years. I need to talk to you so
mm,
I can relearn some of the things that I thought I knew, right? So
mm-hmm.
yeah, so take us through it.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I've been a nurse now for 26 years, a little bit over 26 years. And, just like most people, you start to realize that you're having some health issues, and you don't really know what to do, but what you will do is try. And like I tell my kids all the time, just show up with the spirit of try and something's gonna work out, you know. And of course, I tried everything, treadmill at home, walking, gyms, yoga, all the things, and not realizing that all of those things they would not help me with my weight struggles at that time, pre-diabetes at that time, pre hypertension at that time. None of that was going to work. None of that was going to work. And it wasn't until I kind of started digging into like just you see enough in nursing that in healthcare there's enough that you see anyway, but when the outside world starts messing with the inside world, and then that inside world is even your home, so my health being impacted, and then we've got at that time like Black men in the community, which I felt were targeted at the time, and then also healthcare is just a really hard place to be in, to work in, even though there's a lot of love for it. But all of those things just started kind of like matching, like my health, at that time, Trayvon Martin was gunned down, and I was just like, what can I do? What can I do? And I couldn't figure out what I could do other than to go back to school for human rights and social justice. And once I did that, I vowed to myself that I was going to basically use the lens of being a Black woman, being a nurse, and just use that lens in every class that I could. And I did. And I knew even before I started, I was going to do a paper on diabetes and African American. But long story short, there's no need to do any papers on African American diabetes. There's just no need. And then that kind of pushed me forward into thinking a little bit more about, how do I go about completing this program, and how do I finish this program with a thesis? And it led me to a book that I was reading at that time, which was Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. And that book was the book that kind of opened my eyes up to not just because her background, I think, is in social work. And it was just like all the things, like how we cope as Black people, and even labeling post traumatic slave syndrome as a thing, and saying that, hey, we've been raised by people who have been traumatized and who haven't worked out that trauma. They haven't healed from their traumas. We just continue to silence the trauma. And if we continue to silence the trauma, then we end up with maladaptive coping mechanisms. So that book was the thing that kind of led me back to say, don't just look at diabetes, look at sugar. Because what we do, we have a problem with sugar. And then not only just look at that problem, but the book kind of also made you think, don't just look at you, look at your father, look at your mother, look at your grandparents. And if you can, trace that puppy all the way back to slavery. And that's pretty much what I did, was trace it back. And lo and behold, there's so much information out there. Because what at that time I thought, I was kind of coming up on something that wasn't discovered, but there have been many books written about sugar and slavery. And I think what really helped me make it all real and to help me to come through my own breakthrough was actually digging into the history a little bit more. So when you're talking about history today and how like historical erasure can just be this thing where we can push it to the side, like literally that is my why. And the reason why I could basically change my behavior with sugar. It wasn't because I had the health information. Nurses, we get health information all the time. We have the information. We teach health information to our patients. So it's not like that was the thing. So it was the history for me. And when I was able to go down to Sugar Land, Texas and visit with uh, Mr. Reginald Moore at the time, he was to me, the holder of so much knowledge about convict leasing and the Sugar Land 95. And me being I love education. I've loved education since I was a kid. Um, Me being someone who I kind of felt like I really just enjoyed education and I paid attention in school, and I just had never heard of anybody or any history class talking about convict leasing. And so the whole topic blew my mind because I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that okay, so once we were freed,
Hey, Sean, break that down for me, really, that because that was fascinating.
mm,
Just a little caveat here.
mm,
This history that, I mean, like I'm saying, you're a historian at this point,
no,
right? You've
no,
gone, you've gone where many have not gone, right? Because we
mm,
stop at the sweet taste. We don't make connect these dots. So just following you and catching this, the show today is named from Sugar Plantations. I mean, like, as a poorly studied history person
mm,
myself, like I always hear about cotton and picking and cotton
yeah,
picking, right? But we never hear about like this sugar industry that was built on our backs. That fascinated me, right?
yeah, me
So
too.
then when I started hearing you talk about this convict leasing thing, I'm like, what is this? So can you
Yeah.
just kind of define that for us, so that as we carry through this conversation, we can start to tie these things together, right? Because no longer is it just this taste and it's something sweet and we like it, right? It's a
Mhm.
much deeper thing for our past, because we're saying we built the industry, right? Now the
Yeah.
industry that we're building is also killing us. It was killing us then,
Right.
right? It
Right.
still has us in chains. So can you break down like that convict? I really want to hear your
Yeah.
voice for the audience.
Just the way I think of it is that let's just take us back to right before emancipation. Okay, so emancipation, we then have people who are locked up pre-emancipation, but post-emancipation, we're free, right? So if we're free, then you are free to go out about and do whatever it is that you were going to do. But then we have a time where laws were then reestablished to then lock up Black men for petty crimes. And so they would have to serve time for that petty crime in a prison system. So, in this case, in Sugar Land, Texas, you had some already established sugar camps or camps where people actually used to live before, or plantations where Black people used to live and do the work before. But then once they're free, you no longer have that force, that labor force. So convict leasing then was this partnership. The way I look at it is a partnership between the state and wealthy owners. And they had this partnership to then lock up or at least force people back into the work that they were doing before, which was slave work, right?
Right. You
And
already
I
had the
think,
experience, right? You're free
yeah,
now,
yeah,
but you have the experience. So now they're looking for ways to bring you back, right?
yes. So of course, the history is much more complicated than that. But I think for me, one of the things that will really always kind of stand out in my mind about it is that I feel like, at least the way I read about it and the way that it was taught to me, from Mr. Reginald Moore, who's no longer with us, is that there was not a concern for these bodies as there was before. Because if they were on a plantation picking cotton or whatever they were doing before, there was some general concern about, their workforce. But if there's no concern for a convict leasee, then what it you it's basically, there's a book written about it. You One dies, you get another. So the worst, I mean, we're talking about the worst conditions. It is my understanding that the life lifespan of someone who was put into convict leasing in Texas, in Sugar Land, the average lifespan was about 4 to 5 years. And so they were locked up as early as 14. So you can just about imagine someone who's 14 is not going to make it to 18. They're not going to make it to 18. They're going to die before then. So I just had an opportunity to get some of that information from Mr. Reginald Moore, and I just remember standing at the graveside of some of the convict lessees, and the one thing that he told me was just to keep doing the work, because he had not made that connection between sugar and health. He made the connection between sugar and history. So
Yeah.
it just really, to me, is one of those things where you don't realize at the time that you're experiencing a breakthrough, but it was a breakthrough for me, because I do remember, after having that conversation with him, that I just changed my behavior with sugar. If a product has sugar on it, I'm done with it. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna do it. And so at that time, I'm still writing the paper. Of course, I'm trying to get through that, and it dawned on me. And I was like, history is so much better when you can just go see it. I mean, I don't care what they have left of it. If you can just go see the site, if you can go feel, or just even the air sometimes, I think that makes a difference. So that kind of forced me to think about going to look at the or tour the plantations down near New Orleans. And that was another moment to where I was just like, wow, for one, it wasn't, when you're touring places and you're looking at the museum, the pictures and the bed and all of those things, when you're looking for your perspective and you can't find it, it's like, ooh, you talking
Yeah.
about washed out. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, and so it really helped me to understand history on a different level. Like, what did they mean by whitewashing? That's not just a word. What do they mean by historical erasure? It's not, it's a feeling. When you don't see yourself in a narrative, and like, if even if it wasn't like my immediate ancestry, like, we know that Black people did that work.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
became something that really kind of started to guide me, thinking about, hurricanes in a different way. Like, they had hurricanes back then. So, even the way the homes were built and the slave quarters were built, and seeing them built off the ground, and, oh, why? Because of the floodland. So it just became like a story that I think just, it stayed with me. I still say that it's one of those things where I have internal tears because I didn't
Mhm.
cry, but
Yeah.
it definitely left me with some emotion that I still haven't unpacked. But I
Yeah.
did know that I wasn't going to walk away from it or Sugarland 95 being upset. I knew that I was going to have to do something about it. I felt like it was a responsibility, and I also felt like when we're looking at things, it's our responsibility to take it beyond entertainment, because my favorite show at the time was Queen Sugar. And I always thought, like, that's not just a show, it was a book. And the
Yeah.
book was really about land loss. How did Black people lose land? Because if you had land, how did you lose it? So it these things just started kind of unfolding in front of me, I guess you could say, but also it gave me some action steps. Like, what does this mean? Because it was embedded in me by then. It was part
Yeah.
of me.
And so the thing that, and I thank you, like your work is like some that hasn't happened because, we're on this chronic disease side of things, not making these connections, right? And we don't see like it was black and brown bodies that created this economic labor force, right? And
Hmm.
now these same black and brown bodies, like it's in our neighborhoods on every corner, right? it
Hmm.
is it is the cereals, it is the candies, it is the ramen noodles. All of this is now destroying us in a way that we don't think about. We kind of, and a lot of it again is because we just don't know. But
Hmm.
how do you walk away from a conversation like this and stay the same? Like we can't be the same. We
Yeah.
can't. I can't close my ears to even hearing the term Sugar Land, right? So you
Mm.
think about, when you think about Sugar Land, you think about, fun land. Because in my neighborhood, when I was a kid, we had Liberty Land, so that was something fun.
Mm. That's
Not
interesting. Hmm.
really going deep into this thought process of how we literally tore up a people, and we're
Mm.
still doing the same thing. Like it's
Yeah.
manifesting in a new way. And so this is why I wanted you to come on. Like I said, we've been following each other for 3 years. We knew
Hmm.
each other, and then it was so amazing that Bidden saw me like way. I was in a class in South Africa, right?
Hmm.
And Bidden was
Hmm.
somebody you need to meet, right? I'm like,
Yeah. Yes.
I'm already friends for her, and then we meet in person, and just to kind of
Hmm.
unpack it, like you said, it's this close to your heart thing that I just can never see Sugar the same. Even when I'm
Hmm.
walking around talking about, I'm addicted to this, so I really like this, I just can't see it the same anymore because I
Hmm.
know what it has done to people. So thank you for bringing that out. You mentioned earlier about your own journey, and
Hmm.
I know you've had, over this time of, a 50-pound weight loss.
Hmm.
Um, we know that that starts in healing, right? There's this release of taking these toxins, which sugar is a toxin,
Hmm.
out of your body, and then the body starts to heal. Talk to us a little bit about your journey to healing that ultimately, like you said, I start looking at packages and like, I can't do sugar at all. I'm having this breakup with sugar. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I kind of think when I look back, there are probably maybe two different levels of healing for me. One was the historical and the release of um, just some weight that I didn't even know that I could lose. I honestly didn't even think, I wasn't trying. It was just kind of like I was doing my little thing, leaving sugar alone. And I lost maybe about 25 or 30 pounds, with that just change alone. And that pretty much just kind of forced sodas out. And like I said, anything that had sugar in it or the word sugar, right? And then the next level for me was after graduation, I went into Bitten's program, which was really just looking at how sugar was addictive. And to me, it's like she started giving me enough knowledge to where it just like, oh, girl, what were you thinking about? Oh, the carbs, remember? The carbs. And it just took it to a new level. It made me understand that, if you look at sugar for what it's worth, then we would start looking at carbs, right? We would start looking at carbs a little bit closer, because if you talk to any person who has diabetes and has to regulate their insulin level or their glucose level, they're gonna tell you they count carbs. And I knew that, but I didn't know that for me. I didn't think of it as a problem. So that was like the second level of healing for me, was just getting through Fitness program. Um, and what's so strange is I don't really like to talk about weight at all, because I don't think that was my biggest issue. I think my biggest issue was my mind. and just the clarity that I was able to achieve after finding out all those different ways that sugar was kind of getting into my life. Because it's so easy to say, I'm not doing sugar, but I'm going to go right over here and get a diet, soda. Or I'm not doing sugar, but I'm eating a whole loaf of bread or a whole,
Or
thing
like
of
today,
crackers.
a little kid out here at the grill today, he wanted a hot dog. And
Mm,
literally, this event that I'm at is a carnivore. It's a meat up, like MEAT up.
mm,
And he was
mm-hmm.
like, it ain't no ketchup. Like he was looking for a bun. Like literally, we were eating no bread, no ketchup,
Mm-hmm.
but it's ingrained in our babies, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
baby was literally like, "Nah, that's
Where's the
okay. I
rest?
don't want it." Cause
Like, where's
he
the
looking for
rest?
ketchup in the book, right? Like this is y'all forgot something. Somebody needs to go to the store, basically, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I appreciate you sharing that as well. So let's talk a little bit about this, the marketing,
Mm.
how we have, and because I'm watching my phone like literally dip, I'm gonna let you start talking about marketing. I'm gonna leave my camera right here, but I'm gonna crank this car like I'm literally in the woods, y'all.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do this though, so y'all stay with
Yeah.
us, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna so that my phone can keep charging. But yes, if you can talk to us about how we got to, I have you on here as well, how we got to this marketing of our babies, the
Mm.
cereal, the candy. I remember switching from, being able to have cigarette candy, right? We went from tobacco to the sugar cane to this smoking, us playing like we were smoking and it was a cigarette. I literally am about to walk to this car and put
Okay.
this on the charge, but
Yeah.
keep
No
going,
problem.
Sean.
Yeah.
Love.
That's one of those things where for me this went deep because I remember Saturday mornings like nothing else. Saturday mornings meant that you were sitting in front of the television and you were watching your favorite cartoon, but what came up on television was always going to be that cereal or the McDonald's or something that you did not know existed, or either if you knew it existed, you were like, it's kind of out of reach because, my mom is not going to pay for all of that. She's not going to pay for the Rice Krispie treats plus the fruity pebbles and all of the, but I feel like, just at least my earliest memories of being a kid was just sitting in front of that television on a Saturday morning and looking at things that really were not good for me, but they were definitely targeting me because the jingles, I could, remember some of the jingles. And when you walk away from the television, you're like, oh, yeah, Kool Aid, I got Kool Aid. There were just so many things. The jingles we know that targeted children, the even I think some of those techniques that they used back then to target children, they still work today. Flashy
Oh,
colors,
definitely.
a lot of colors, bright colors, jingly sounds, all of those things, making it seem like you're cool, if you're eating that food. So yeah, that's what
When
I
you
think
think
about it.
about you're talking about now, we're talking about the juices in the box. We're talking about the
Hmm.
Legos. I mean, the what is the ones, the Lunchables, right?
Hmm.
The cereals in the morning. Like I remember liking Frankenberry. I remember crunching berries. Like that was
Hmm.
breakfast
Hmm.
for us with no issue. I remember wanting like the little cheese stick that you could rub the cheese on the crackers,
Yep.
right? I like we
Hmm.
literally used to save the Kool-Aid packages so that we could get the Kool-Aid cups to go with the Kool-Aid we were drinking.
Hmm.
Right. All of these targets toward our children. I mean, it's kind of the same as the toy industry, but we're talking
It
about our
is.
babies' bodies, right? I
Yeah.
remember you think about a McDonald's, right? Like you got a kid, they got a toy. You know the arches from anywhere. Like kids
Hmm.
are literally screaming
It's true.
for the arches, right? And my son, I can remember one of my family members, they would keep my son for me and they would take my son. My son was a big boy. I didn't know like I know now. But
Hmm.
my son would go, they would go to McDonald's and a Happy Meal wasn't big enough for him. So they literally would buy him a 2 cheeseburger combo because he needed two
Mhm.
cheeseburgers.
Mhm.
And then they would buy him a toy separate so that he
Yeah.
would have a toy. Right.
Mhm.
So it's this draw to our children, as we keep working in this month of August about helping those that are educating our kids, helping those that are caring for them, that like this baby today who was like, forget it. How do
No
we
ketchup.
He's like, what, y'all got mustard by the ketchup now here, right?
Mhm.
So talk Sean about how do we help these caregivers, these parents that are in a fight. I mean, it's literally a war, right? Where they are trying their best to help their kids. They think they're doing the right thing. They're sending them off to school with a Lunchable. We won't even go into the school lunches, right? We'll leave that one for another day. But I'm saying what we can control as the caregivers. How do we start to change the trajectory of how our kids are eating? And we own that, starting now. What can we
Mhm.
do differently?
Yeah. I really love this conversation because it really makes me think about timing and how important timing is, because once you get to about 18, 19, that conversation is pretty much out the door. I mean, because you're now struggling with an adult, and trying to get them to subscribe to a way of eating. But so I think the earlier the better, and I think the clarity has to start with the adult, and the adult understanding that when you're buying the Lunchables, it's not just about sugar, it's about something that's processed. And we know, scientists know, researchers know, that the more the thing is processed, the more addictive that it will be. So your kid may not just ask for that Lunchable just because it's just easy for them at school. They're like, no, I want Lunchables because there's something about it, that little treat that comes inside, that might be addictive, right? And so I think we have to start with just really just trying our best to educate the adults and really trying to get us to get on. I don't even like to talk about food plans because I really think that people end up following their gut. I think once you heal that gut, then the food plan is going to follow. Because I can tell you, there's just no way for me to take in sugar the way I used to take it in back in the day, because I will literally get sick if I eat, like too much sugar. So um, I think just educating adults on knowing that, really looking at just the American Heart Association guidelines. Those guidelines are out there for added sugar. And for added sugar, women and children between the ages of 2 to 18 should not have any more than 25 grams of added sugar per day. For men, they shouldn't have any more than 36 grams of added sugar per day. So when you start looking at those numbers and you're like, whoa, why does my juice box have, 35 grams of added sugar and I'm sending my kid off with that every day? It really starts to make you start to set some limits. You're like, oh, I need to set some limits. And even if you don't, follow and say, I'm not going to give my child any, at least the limit. At least the limit. Once you know the limit, you're gonna say, why am I giving my baby this candy bar and it's full of sugar, full of added sugar? So I think knowing that, but I also think knowing a little bit more about high fructose corn syrup, if you can get that out of your diet, because there's always a swap out. There's always a better, even I don't care what you find with high fructose corn syrup in it. When you switch that out, you can always find a substitution. Ketchup. If you see it with high fructose corn syrup, you can find one without it. Because we do know, doctors know, researchers know that it can, if you take in too much, it will create fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and also the visceral fat that's hiding. Oh, you're talking, but I can't hear. Sorry about that.
No, that's me. You
Mhm,
said two things I want to highlight. One is you
mhm,
talked about these limitations. So Sean is masterful at helping us just say, can I make a switch? Can I decrease? Can I replace? Can I be aware, essentially? And so then she gave some numbers around
Mhm.
what a male should be having, right? What a female should be having. That's relative to like teaspoons of sugar, right? So we're talking in a male or a female, we're talking 9 to 10 teaspoons in a day.
Mhm.
But let me add a caveat to that is if you are already sick,
Mhm.
right? You already have type 2 diabetes. You already have um you already are suffering with PCOS, or you have, for me, mine was an autoimmune lupus, right?
Mhm.
Where you when you know your damage is already, those numbers may not work for you. That may be your tipping point. You may have to go less sugar, because we know that sugar is how you got there. It's how we got there. It's how we got the weight on us. We may have to go less, right? So the American Heart Association, their guidelines typically are for what we would call normal
Mhm.
people, right? And what I mean by normal is 93%. And when I was here in Kalamazoo today with Dr. Tony Hampton, and he did a whole thing on the metabolic health, and he reinforced about 93% of Americans are metabolically unwell. And so if we fall, and I'm saying we because I'm still in that 93,
Mhm.
that means that only
Right.
7% of us are walking around well. So that amount of sugar that the American Heart Association is talking about, those well people, right? They're talking about the ones that may not already have an adverse effect, a breakout, if you will, a reaction from consuming sugar. And so sometimes you got to dial that back a little bit more. And so I like that you gave those numbers, because that helps us to see, wow, how much sugar am I taking in? So now I
Mhm.
have a
Mhm.
child who I fed them in the morning a bowl of cereal. I gave them a glass of orange juice and a slice of toast. And then
Mhm.
later, I'm going to tell myself that they deserve a treat. So I'm going to stop on the way home and buy them ice cream, right? And then I'm going to stop for dinner. We're gonna run to Mickey D's and get breaded chicken nuggets with French fries and another drink and a toy. So now your child has been on sugar all day.
Mhm.
What she is actually saying, and what we are trying to say, is that you get a chance to control their outcome by saying, maybe I'm not gonna give them all of that today.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm just gonna let them have, the juice in the morning, and I'm going to find something else that I can feed them that's going to be more satiating to them. I also want to add this. I see my husband here, who I miss. Yay! Hey, honey.
Mhm.
Right, different places. But he's also talking about the American Heart Association's recommendations exceed, like the regular body can really only
Mhm.
manage one
Mhm.
teaspoon of sugar. So let's not lose that caveat, right? Your
Mhm.
body only manage one teaspoon. It don't need none at all. Let's just say that. Like
Mm.
me,
That
like
part.
you don't need none
That
at
part.
all. If you gotta
That part.
have a little wiggle room in there, we giving you a little wiggle room to say maybe a teaspoon is all you need today. Maybe a maybe these other limits if you are in some kind of metabolically healthy place. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that, because I know I'm going to get the text messages and they're going to be like, well, what did she mean by this? Well, she said I could have,
Mhm.
right?
Well,
And we
I think it's important
no.
just to bring people from a place of not knowing at all, which is lack of awareness,
Yes, yes,
to having some guidelines that are out there that are not set by me,
right.
because I'm not the guideline setter. Those guidelines are out there, and then once you get there, then you can say, okay, do you want to go further? Because there are some actionable steps that you can take if you want to try to quit sugar or cut sugar. Because and I think that's where I was for a long time. I thought I was eating healthy,
Yeah,
and nobody, no, there was nobody that was gonna stop me, because nothing but my health. Because the information that I had before was basically eat less, move more. And that wasn't going to get
yes,
it. That wasn't
yes.
going to get it, because there was no way for me to eat less if I'm eating food that's basically got me craving other foods all day long. So yeah, I just think it's important for us to highlight some type of guidelines that are out there, for people,
Absolutely.
especially starting from scratch. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that, again, I often say in this space that you can't unhear what you heard, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even if you take a couple of nuggets of, what Shun is sharing today, I see a comment I'm going to show here on the screen where it says,
Mm-hmm.
wow, sugar and slavery, a profound analogy, because that's not what we're thinking about in this season,
Mm-mm.
right? We're
Mm-mm.
not having a thought about these connections that continue to be made. Like, it's so deeply rooted that we've missed that. We've dropped
Mm-hmm.
the fact that, like, we built this industry, didn't benefit from this industry, but now we are the biggest consumers of this industry. When I
Mm-hmm.
look at it, and I know for you, even in nursing, the amount of amputations, right, are black and brown bodies, right? The number of canes, the number of wheelchairs, we lead the charts in every health statistic
That's right.
that is directly tied to an overconsumption of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It is an
Mm-hmm.
overconsumption of sugar. And I loved how you talked about earlier carbohydrates,
Mm-hmm.
because many people take that lightly and just see it as some fancy word. And it is. It's a fancy word that means sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Out today because my part today was what is sugar, and I left them with saccharide. Right, I told them, I said, when you're decreasing, I said, be a little bougie with it and tell them, oh, I'm not consuming saccharide anymore. They,
Mm-hmm.
they all trace this back to sugar. So I got a question for you here from Fayberry Wood. She says, is there any benefit, is it anything worth having sugar in your diet?
No.
Talk to us about it.
No, and I know where she's going. I know exactly where you're going because I think for the most part we were at least taught in some way that sugar gave us energy. So, and if that's the case, then that would be the only reason. Like I haven't heard of anybody else, like people from my family. It's always about energy. It gives you a little energy. Okay, so that's the only thing. And so the truth is it does give you a boost of energy for just a short period of time. But then guess what? You're gonna be drained after that. So there is no there I don't see why we've got to have it. And there are other ways to get sugar, because remember, carbs is just a fancy way of saying sugar. So your body can actually get sugar if there's other foods besides sugary foods that can break down to still be sugar inside of your body. So
Absolutely.
I
So
don't
I often say that protein and fat, it will make the sugar you
sugar.
need. Like, it's like
That's right.
yellow and blue makes green, protein and
Yeah.
fat will make
Yeah.
the sugar your body needs. So the answer loudly, and I love how you're sounding the alarm on that. Nothing. Like, you kept trying to come up with, like, yeah, no, no, no. Like, at no point
No.
is there a need. And I share with the people today that what we really like about certain sugar is that it tastes sweet. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for taste. Beyond the tongue, there's nothing left. There is no taste. I was telling them today, like, I wish it could just stop right here. If I could eat a cake and it stopped right here and I can just get the taste.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that. It's got to
Mm-mm.
be processed out, and then it's a
Mhm.
destroyer because it's a toxin inside of
Mhm.
your body. So there is no benefit to having sugar. I'm working with people, and Shun, I know you're working with people who are, running marathons. We've been taught you need this, you need that. No,
Mhm.
you don't. You don't need sugar for any reason. And when you really go back, Shun, and think about, there is a chemist somewhere that is working hard to figure
Mm.
out what your tongue is going to like, and they
Mm.
keep changing it. Like I said, there was a black and white Oreo cookie when I came up. Now it's every kind of Oreo. There was
Mhm.
a chocolate Hershey Kisses. The other day I was in the store. They had brownie Hershey Kisses. They had strawberry cream Hershey Kisses, because they're after the taste so that you'll keep wanting it. Right. So
Mhm.
thank you for answering that question. All right. We have a comment from Eddie Wright, and you both said the same thing. High fructose corn syrup and sugar is a detriment to
Mhm.
Black people. It is taking us out day by day. I often say, we say black don't crack. Y'all, sugar is cracking us. I'm just gonna say it out loud.
It is
Black
crack.
it's cracking us. We are breaking into pieces, and we think it's got to do with age, right? We think these knee replacements, these hip replacements, this glaucoma, this dandruff, this
Mm,
gout. We think all of these things are associated with age, and it's
mm,
really how much of the sugar that we're consuming. And so then
that's true.
Sam, his comment here was explain the recommendation, and we've talked a little bit about that more. I mean, Shun is saying, hey, it ain't my recommendation. It's what they got out
Mm-mm.
there. We're giving
Yeah.
you some limits, right? However, what we know scientifically, if you go to biochemistry, scientifically, what we know is your body can only manage 1 teaspoon, and it could live longer and better without saccharides. It could live
Mm.
longer and better without saccharides. Hey, Sean, talk to us about a parent who says, okay, y'all got my attention. My child is driving me crazy. You're right. They've been eating Nutella. They've been eating, they want Pop Tarts. They want sugar. Like they have a fit when they cannot have it. What would you say to a parent in a daily kind of way of eating, what they may want to consider switching to? What's some changes they can make?
I think first, just try to start at home. Start at home with controlling that environment at home. We used to have it nailed down. I don't know how our parents were able to have that meal ready within 30 minutes, and we were eating within 30 minutes. Now, I will say that that meal was usually a sugary meal, but the point is that we had a meat and we had two sides. So I think if you can start by just controlling what you do at home, I think that really will help the kid on the outside. And if you can educate the child at least a little bit on just saying, baby, you know what, I want you to start, checking in with yourself and telling me if you feel funny after you've had, something real sugary. Do you think you feel like real hyped up, and then later on you feel like you ready to go to sleep? And then make sure you're engaging them so that they can start to understand, oh, this is making me feel funny. I don't like to feel funny. So I think it really just starts with the conversation. However you guide those in your home, you just do it. I mean, we do know that we can push anybody over the limit with just information. There's a lot of information. You don't want anybody to go into information overload to where they're not trying, but you just want them to check in with themselves and be honest. Be honest and truthful. How do you feel after you had that? If you crash, because I mean, not all of us respond the same way to sugar. I'm just talking about those who we already know that are tiptoeing on sick or around sick or either in the sick hole, you know,
Right.
and we're trying to figure out how to dig out of that hole. And a lot of our kids are sick. A lot of our kids are sick already. I
They are.
remember when we were a kid, and we used to go to the nurse's office every year, and they used to check for that line on our neck, the darkened space. And that,
Yes.
I didn't know what that was, but I do know that if you did have that, then they said you would need to go to the doctor, and they were checking for signs of insulin resistance or either pre-diabetes or diabetes at that point. It's called acanthosis nigricans. So
Can you
and
say
so
that word again? That's a
yeah,
fancy one. Say it
yeah,
again.
you can say it different ways, but acanthosis nigricans. Yeah. So, and it's just when the line on the neck is really thick and dark. Those are signs of insulin resistance. But we think it's just back there. Sometimes it's also in the crack of the arms. It can be in the folds behind the knees. So you just have to really just start looking and saying, does my child have signs of, sickness? Because it's not. I know that you've taught them about insulin resistance, and I'm not going to go
Absolutely.
there. But the point is that we can actually be sick before our numbers show that we're actually sick,
Oh
or at
my
least those.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
like
And and I
that
don't
is
want to
the
go off.
thing.
But yeah. Hmm.
So the thing is this, what you just talked about is to you parents. Like you're with your children every day. We know, first of all, if the child is carrying weight, that is an obvious sign that they have overconsumed carbohydrates, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that they're going down a path that could lead to insulin resistance. And she's right. We've talked about that on the show many
Mm-hmm.
times. What we're saying is that there is this darkness that happens to our children that you can start to say, listen, doc, I need some labs. Because doctors are not doing these labs, y'all. They're not doing these labs. You need an A1C on your kid. You need a fasting insulin. I am working with clients right now by default. Their kid is getting labs now, and they're finding out that their children are pre-diabetic. So
Mm-hmm.
get labs for your children. Ask the doctor. Self advocate for your children because at least you know. So when my son was smaller, he was younger, let me say, he was just cute and chubby. He gonna grow out of that, and no, I needed someone giving me what I'm giving you. We needed someone that's doing what Shun is saying to us now, that we need to be taking this thing serious now before something else develops. And so
Mm-hmm.
you get a chance to say, let me come here, boy, let me look at your neck. Now that ain't dirt. That is sugar fighting to get out. It is going to find a way out. So it starts to decay areas. That's what I call it. It's
Mm-hmm.
starting to decay an area, and that darkness means something. And
Mm-hmm.
we're saying, take these actions now. It's the beginning of school. It's
Mm-hmm.
physicals that you're doing with your kids to play sports. All of these are now great times to start doing that and getting the lab so that you have data. You're no longer a guess. Oh, he'll be fine, girl. He gonna go out there. My all my kids was like that, right? We don't want to take that little bypass.
Mm-hmm.
We want to use this as a way to be proactive, to be preventive, where we can start to solve this now.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want to switch a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
you, Sean, because like when you came out with sugar mode off, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she all in my business. Like Sean has inspired me, y'all. Like I was not as into this whole like turn it off, right? I wasn't there. But just the body of work that she's done, and I call her like this quiet force, but this bold impact. I mean, you have no idea how the groups of women that she's working with, like she's worked with in like years, they're like, yeah, I've lost 15. Yeah, I've lost 20. No, I don't eat
Mm-hmm.
that no more. Ooh, no, that ain't coming over my house. Like this power pack woman that just sits in her space. She's not asking for um permission. She's not looking for validation. She's just
Mm-hmm.
doing this beat of her drum that says, I want to help my people. I want my people to be better. So talk to us about being the founder of Sugar Mode Off and what that means to the world and how do they engage with Sugar Mode Off?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I really feel like by default design or calling, I was really compelled to sit like at the intersection of science and human rights and social justice, health and history. I feel like that's the intersection. And I don't think that there was any way for any of that to lead to sugar other than for me to be exactly who I am today, like exactly who I am. And I like you said, I'm not seeking it. I just knew that once I saw this thing working for me, I had a responsibility to do something with it. Now we know that we all have secrets. Like we all have secrets. Some things we know, like some of us keep secrets on how to pack a kid up and have them out of the house in 10 or 15 minutes. But what we don't realize is that our secrets need to be shared so that we can all continue. This is about continuing like for generations. So Sugar Mode Off was really just founded in just with this idea that it's a movement and that it's freeing people from sugar dependency so we can reclaim not just um, where we are today, but our health and reclaim like the clarity so we can fulfill each of our own purposes. Because I just don't know any other way to to get there other than for me to share it kind of how it was given to me. Okay, first it was given to me as awareness. And then I had to wake up and just say, "Ooh, I got to try this thing." And without even knowing that I was trying it, cutting the sugar on the soda cans and things like that. And then just going to the next level of just being really curious about this thing and following it out. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, they are calling type 3 diabetes Alzheimer's. That's what the journal, medical journals were saying. And so if this thing that could create cavities, because we knew that we could connect to that, we could say, hey, we know you don't send that baby to bed, without brushing their teeth, especially if they had a whole bunch of sugar, because it's going to create the cavity. So what kind of decay is it creating on the inside of our body, especially those vessels? And I don't think, I mean, I really do look at it. I think it was oh gosh, what is the comedian? They're brothers, the one that has diabetes. I just remember one day he said,
the wine,
Wayne, yes, yes. And he
yeah, the
said
wine.
that he looked at it as a disease, of a circulation disease. And I was like, this is before I even knew anything that, or that sugar was going to be my thing. And I was like, that is so true. It's attacking the circulation, because that's what's happening to the root of the tooth, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
if that thing on the outside can create that kind of decay that we can see, then it can break down a whole bunch of other stuff that we can't see. So I like to say it's a movement. I used to kind of back off of that word, but now that I see, that the responsibility and the weight is far beyond myself, that yeah, I want people to know about it. Yeah, cut back on sugar. It's real clear. If you're doing too much, you need to stop doing too much.
That's it. Turn it off.
Yeah.
And you said so many powerful things that, I mean, I hadn't even thought about the whole cavity, right? I often say, like, pouring that Coca-Cola on a battery, like that's
Mm-hmm.
vivid for me. But you're right, like we're tearing up teeth. Kids are, having caps on their teeth
Mm-hmm.
because of the sugar they eat. Or we say things like, give them, you gave them all that sugar, and then they run around here like they're crazy, right?
That's right.
And it's
That's right.
it's the sugar. So we do know innately that there is an impact. What we're
Mhm.
not really digesting, literally digesting, is the full picture of ADHD in school, mental illnesses. I was an educator in the classroom for years, watching my kids not being able to stay awake because they've had a sugary
Mm,
breakfast. Or
that's
as I'm
crazy.
mentioning more and more about, moms and muffins, dads and donuts. Why?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
To bring them together. Why can't we find
Mhm.
something else? And so,
So
wow,
true.
what a powerful conversation. And I say often that everything starts with a conversation. We have to
Mhm.
start talking about it. And what I appreciate most about you is that you talk about it, right?
Mhm.
You lead it in your hometown with your folks. You open up
Mhm.
spaces for women to come and be a part of them. I've been a part of them. I mean, I can't unhear it, right? I follow you, y'all. If you're not following Shun on social media, Shun, tell us the social medias that I know you have. Breaking Bonds. I want to
Mhm.
talk about how they can get the book and how they
Mhm.
can track their way into this, right? So talk to us about that as we get ready to come to a close.
Yes. So breaking the bonds of sugar, I love talking about how it was founded, because God, my husband, and everybody knows that I had no plans on being on social media at all. Like, honestly, I used to say I'm gonna die without a Facebook page, and then I fell in love with the topic of sugar, and noticed the changes and felt that weight and that responsibility to share it with other people. And COVID hit, and there goes a need to break up, to start a Facebook group called Sisters Breaking the Bonds of Sugar. And I had some amazing people that I'd gone to school with that helped me to set up that platform, and helped me to start to navigate the space a little bit easier. But Sisters Breaking the Bonds of Sugar is a space where I say it's open to at this point, it's open to anyone who wants to join. And that's a free space. I love sharing sugar awareness in that space. And what I have done recently is I will be starting on September 8th. I'll be starting a 7 week walkthrough. And typically, and you know this, that Denitra, that I love to educate, but I've learned too that education does not bring people through. Change actually brings people through, and sometimes challenges will bring people through. So my goal with that is you can actually find me on School, the app Skoll, which is Skool, and it's a $10 a month membership right now. It will go up later, but I'm doing $10 a month right now so that we can get some people in and really just start to go through what I would call like a 7 week kind of just a slow step by step. You're in a community, you're in a safe space. It's open to men and women. Anybody can join that group. But the point is that you need to be in a space where people are sort of doing the same thing that you're doing. Like it's very difficult to kind of create some of the challenges in a Facebook space sometimes because you don't know who's in or who's out, and you sometimes you get a like, sometimes you don't. So I've learned to do skin in the game, $10 skin in the game, get some skin in the game, and just get on that Skool app and find me Sugar Mode Off, and there will begin the feel right challenge, and what I call like a 7 week, and I just take you through the steps of breaking your bonds of sugar. You can purchase the Breaking the Bonds of Sugar on Amazon if you're kind of like a person who likes to go solo and do your own thing. I think all the tips are in there, but if you find yourself kind of lost, if you've purchased that, then just send me an email, sugarmodeoff@gmail.com, and say, hey, I got the tracker, but I'm lost. I really do want you to connect with me because a lot of this, I mean, sometimes I think we forget how important it is just to make human connection. Like
Yeah.
it's just like I think we I sometimes think about the cycle of just healing, and a lot of times the first thing we'll do is to draw in, and we won't tell nobody, and we won't, but that's not going to get you anywhere. It's not. You really do need to heal in spaces where people understand and they're having the same type of problems and challenges and all the things. And sometimes that's just one person that needs to know your business and saying, hey, I'm running by McDonald's. What you think I should get? And I'm like, only thing you can get from McDonald's is drive through. Keep driving.
I
No, but
love it. I
or just
love it.
protein. We'll stick with protein, okay?
I
Um,
love
but
it.
but y'all, this is we were talking just the other day to Nitra about just I think the most important thing for all of us is to just try something. I always say you got to show up with the spirit of try. I don't care if you're trying carnivore or no sugar or keto, whatever you call it. Just try something because now we have choices. We got choices. There used to be a time where we didn't have choices, so we've got to tap into that type of freedom, and that type of freedom is the thing that gets us through other spaces. I always kind of like to think of sugar as this is just a basic camp. It's a basic boot camp because I don't care what diet you try, you still gonna have to go back and find yourself looking at sugar face to face, and if you don't address that, then you're gonna have a problem. So I think that's it.
No, yeah,
But
this was amazing. So again, y'all go find Shun's group. I put it in there. If you can click on the link, if you're looking from my YouTube page, I'll also put it on my Facebook page. Sisters Breaking the Bond of Sugar. Find her on Skoll. It's Skoll. It's Sugar Mode
it's
Off.
Skool.
Thank you. Two O's. Thank you, honey. Help a
Mhm.
sister out. So,
That's cool.
so,
Mhm.
so, guys, again, what I want to continue to do is bring to this space where we have these conversations where we're not afraid to talk about them. We're not afraid to call them what they are. We want to be intentional about being better. So I just want to, Shun, we're at time. I appreciate you being here. Like, you've given us a gift, right? Like, this is such a gift. You've connected this sugar to our past, to our present, and show us, like, if some don't change, what our future is going to look like. And so,
Mm.
the goal is for us to be sugar free, ultimately, for us to be sugar mode off, for us to turn this thing off, at least, if nothing else, as Shun is saying, like, be aware of how much you are consuming rather than making light of it. And don't think just because you're not eating sweet sugar. So you ate a baked potato, you ate some greens, you ate some macaroni and cheese, you ate some cornbread and a
Mm.
piece of chicken. You ate a lot of sugar, is what we're
Right.
saying. You
Mhm.
have to be sugar aware,
Mhm.
and then you get a chance to turn that thing off. There's nothing stopping you now. You have the choices. And so, Shun, thank you for being
You're welcome.
here on tonight. Like, to every parent, every caregiver, every grandparent, this is not just about food, it's about freedom. It's about giving your kids a chance to have a different inheritance. We always talk about a wealth inheritance. We really want to start leaving them a health inheritance,
That's right.
because you can break the sugar chains, you can reset your rhythm, and you can reclaim the future. You know, I'm proud to close out with this bold message, because we've been talking all month long about sugar. We've had multiple guests on that have built us up to this place where now we're simply saying, turn it off. Eat something different. Do what's good for your body, right? It continues in your kitchen. Shun said that. Start at home. Shop around the rim of the store. Build your dinner table. And even something she says so powerful is have those conversations with your family.
Mhm.
Start talking to your kids. So again, y'all, tonight this is Carnivore-ish, and the ish means informed, satiated, in healing conversation where meat meets the mind and the magic of healing happens. Y'all, we breaking chains. We're super grateful. Shun, thank you over and over
Thank
again
you.
for the work
Thank
that you
you.
continue to do in this space. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank
As you're
you.
moving through this journey, like, so calmly and silently, like, I love the bold impact that you
Thank
continue to
you.
have on this space. So, y'all, we're closing out, and I'm grateful as
I'm
always.
grateful too. Thank you so much. Love you, Denisha.
Love you too, darling. Take care,
Okay.
love.
Okay.